How to choose the right typewriter for writers. I want to write, and if you're watching this video, you probably want to write as well. But why write? There are several large steps and many small sub-steps to becoming a published author. Lots of people have tried to answer this question in book, audio, and video formats. I've decided to answer the question, how do I want to write? Maybe this will help you too. Over the past while, I have been investigating how to get the creative ideas flowing onto paper or a screen. There's so much advice on getting that done, I've decided to concentrate on methods that are as distraction-free as possible. Paper and pens or pencils, typewriters, computer hardware and software, dictation, and even artificial intelligence were part of my investigation. My biggest requirement was whether these tools helped my writing flow in print form. No flow, no go. My first investigation was with a highly touted distraction-free writing device, over 150 years old, the typewriter. Since there are hundreds of different typewriters, I tried to come to a form of evaluating good or bad ones using a simple process of measurement. I concentrated on these things: the force needed to actuate the keys, the travel distance of the keys, whether it was manual, electric, electronic, or digital, how loud it is, how convenient it is to use in my writing setup, and how many mistakes I made typing the same 2 paragraphs on each typewriter. Since high-quality typewriters are not currently produced anymore, I had to pick what I could find in the local secondhand online and face-to-face marketplaces. There are several exemplary typewriter shops around the nation that service and refurbish typewriters so that they are as good as new. But buying one of these can be pricey, so I took the route that a beginning, financially struggling writer would take, the cheap one. This for me was the $20 to $100 range. To evaluate each one I bought, it had to be in working order. I decided I wanted to have a standard to evaluate what would be best for me, besides just gotta try them out and see how they feel. Of course, if you have a chance to try out many typewriter examples in a typewriter shop, definitely do that. But for those of us who don't, I thought perhaps this abbreviated system will help predict what you'd like to find in your favorite typewriter, your flow tool. If you'd like more information and like to see a huge collection of typewriters, I recommend YouTube influencers like Joe Van Cleve, Just My Typewriter, Old Typewriters and Calculators, Classic Typewriter, Hot Rod Typewriters, Phoenix Typewriters, Mr. and Mrs. Vintage Typewriters, or Jot and Tittle Typewriters. All of them good, and there are many more. I don't have an extensive collection of typewriters to evaluate each and every one. What I have done is taken what I believe is a representative sampling of what's generally available. The biggest measurement for me, and I think for most people, is whether upon sitting down to write, the tool doesn't get in the way, but just lets the writing flow. With this in mind, I invite you to explore and evaluate with me my representative collection. I hope you get a better sense of what typewriter you might like to write with. To start this series off, let me introduce the 1982 Olympia SG3 standard desktop typewriter, the one I learned to touch type on. The Olympia SG3. Let's see if it flows. The Olympia SG3 is a desktop manual typewriter with a lot of great hardware in it. This is made to last a long time. First typewriter I learned to type on. This one in particular needs to be cleaned, but it still has a great action on it, and although it may not be as fast as it's normally without the cleaning, I'm going to see if it works well. The great thing about this is a place to make the typing experience harder or softer, and you can switch between the inks. Everything else basic. It's got a long platen on it. I have some legal paper turned sideways in it, but it looks like it's a beast. It is a beast. It's with proper cleaning. it'll last probably another 200 years. I don't know. From the 1970s and 80s, I think. So here we go, typing with it. So the typing experience, as you push down on the keys, it gets a little bit harder as you go down. But if you pop them, okay, like that, like I learned to do when I was first learning this, how to type on this, it's easy to do. It has to pop those keys and you'll be fine. It takes a little while getting used to, especially for people who haven't learned to type on a manual typewriter. But with some experience and some effort, this can be easily a typewriter that you'll enjoy typing on, and that I think would be enjoyable to write things, to be a writer with, and I believe it will let things flow. Honestly, any typewriter, computer, pen, whatever, it will eventually do what you need to do. If you have that burning sensation, you've got to get things out onto paper, onto screen, whatever you got to get out of you, out there so somebody else can read it, you'll pretty much overcome any obstacle. However, if you don't want to have to expend that effort every day, every moment, and you want the least amount of friction between this tool and your ideas getting on paper out for somebody else to read on, then this will take some effort to overcome that. The rhythm that you hear as you type along can actually be quite soothing and makes me feel that I'm getting something on paper, I'm making progress. It makes you feel like you've accomplished something when you have it right there. So now I'm going to do some free writing, and to me, that's the difference between taking something like in the movie Populaire and writing, typing and typing till you become fast and proficient, and the writing that's going to be creative and bring something new out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start typing and do it for about a half an hour and see what happens with that. All right, after about a half an hour of typing, it doesn't seem like it's that much, but when I'm writing creatively, it doesn't come super fast. For some people, it may do. I can say that this is an enjoyable typewriter to type on, even though it is a little bit harder, or some ways a lot harder than typing on a computer keyboard. The feel, the rhythm, and the accomplishment of getting something done, be able to punch it out, to me, that's important, and I really enjoy this typewriter. I can't say that it's any better than the best, the other ones that I've typed on, but it's a great typewriter. I think that this is well worth the time and money to get something like this to type on. I would highly recommend an Olympia SG3. It's not portable, but for those who want to sit at the same place every day, this is a great choice.